morning friends, this is Dr. M.K. Barua. I am Associate Professor in Department of Management Studies. I welcome you all in NPTEL online certification program, and the subject which I am going to take up here is project management for managers. This subject is very important for the students of mechanical engineering, industrial and production engineering, civil engineering, MBA students, and also for working professionals. Why it is important for working professionals? Because working professionals most of the times deal with projects and they should know how to manage a project. So, let us get started in this course. There are several people who think that project management is PERT and CPM. There are another set of people who think that project management is capital budgeting. Some other people think that project management is project financing, and there are several other set of people who think that project management is this, project management is this, and so on. But in reality, one should study project management from 10 different knowledge areas point of view, and we will see those 10 areas, and in this course we will see what are the processes available in those areas. In short, I can say that there are 10 areas and 47 processes. So, the incomplete, this is 10 by 47 course, 10 areas plus 47 processes. So, let us get started. We will be talking about project management fundamentals, what a project is, what project management is, and other issues, how projects have evolved over a period of time, and we will also see project integration and scope management. Actually, these two are knowledge areas of project. Then we will have planning and scheduling, how to plan a project, how to schedule various activities of a project, and to represent a project we always go for networking of projects. We represent a project through networks. So, you would have studied during your undergraduate or postgraduate programs something called CPM and PERT. Then we will see what is project risk management, this is another knowledge area. We will see project contract and materials management. It deals with procurement management, cost management and estimation. Then we will see about quality aspects of project, and finally some softwares related to project management. There are multiple objectives of project management. We will see some of the objectives. So, to understand the importance of project management in today's world, why projects are important these days? Because organizations, whenever they do something, they do through projects. So, projects are important for the world in general and for the organizations in specific. To establish the importance of project in implementing organization strategy, you cannot start a project without having strategies. In fact, projects help in fulfilling strategies of the organization. Then you have got understand the rules for creating a work breakdown structure for a project. In fact, what happens at the top level of hierarchy of project, you have got programs, and then we divide program into sub programs, then projects, sub projects, and so on. So, you have got complete work breakdown structure, and how to break down this structure, that is again an important point. We will see that point as well. We will see how to develop network diagrams for a project. One of the important points in project is to estimate how much time project will take and what would be the cost. So, we will see cost planning, time planning, and so on. To understand the intricacies of project earned value analysis, in fact, one of the ways to control project is earned value approach. We will see this approach as well. Then we have got some other objectives also. To understand the procurement process, in a project you will have to go for procurement of several things, several materials, sometimes assemblies, sub assemblies and so on. So, procurement is another knowledge area of project. We will see what are the characteristics of high performance project team, what characteristics should the project team should have. We will see in detail, and what qualities project manager should have. To understand project closure process, in fact, similar to start of the project closure is also an important aspect. It should not be abrupt closure. There is a process of closing down a project. So, we will see that process as well. In fact, you would have seen something called fertilizer project, power project, road project, then project for, let us say, R&D project and so on. So, in all these things you would have observed that the word project is common. So, once the project gets over, it does not remain project, it becomes a process or operations. But for having a project, it is not necessary that something should have project word in it. For example, if I say conduction of elections in India is a project, but I do not say it is election project. For example, when I prepare for examination, it is also a project, but I do not say exam project. So, for having a project, it is not necessary that the word project should be there. Okay. So, what is project? A project is therefore is not a physical object, nor it is the end result, it has something to do with the going on in between, right. So, let us say I am taking up this course, because I am doing this course for the first time on online mode, this is a project for me, right. So, there are several differences between a project and a process. So, what is project? Project is something which we start to achieve a mission. We will say that a project it is over, a project is over when mission is fulfilled. The another way of defining project is it is a combination of human and non-human resources pooled together in a temporary organization to serve a specific purpose. Now, there are several types of resources, human and non-human also. For example, let us say material resource, let us say equipment. So, all these are non-human resources. When we pool these resources together in a temporary organization, when I say temporary organization, it means I have collected team members from different other organizations, or I have recruited people to build a team, and this team is temporary in nature. That is why I am calling it in a temporary organization to serve a specific purpose of the project. So, this is project. As I said, a project is temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service or result. The objective of a project is to achieve something which you have planned a priori. Now, every project is unique itself. When I say unique, it means it would be different from other projects in terms of location, in terms of time or in terms of resources. So, every project is unique in itself. If you look at the other things related to project, operation is work done to sustain the business. Once you complete the project, you start operation and you continue doing operations because you want to sustain in the business. A project ends when its objectives have been reached. Yes, that is very much true. Once you achieve all the objectives of a project, you just terminate the project, and depending upon its size, it can be small, large, medium size and so on. We will see different types of projects on the basis of let us say R&D investment, or on the basis of who is controlling that project. It may be government project or private project or a combination of these two agencies, and there are several other forms of projects. So, let us look at couple of conditions which you should fulfill before saying that this is a project. So, a group of tasks performed within a definite time period in order to meet certain specific objectives within a given budget. This is another way of defining project, and every project is unique. As I said, it is unique in terms of time, resources and location. I will give you an example. Suppose if I construct a road from here to Delhi, from Roorkee to Delhi, and you also construct a road from let us say Delhi to Agra. So, what is the difference? Both these are road projects, but they are unique because the location is different, the construction timing may be different, and the resources which are being used for constructing these two road projects might be different. So, that is why every project is unique. A project is also a finite. When I say finite, it means it has got a definite start as well as a definite end. So, it is a finite thing. Projects are usually complex. In fact, that is why they are projects. When I say complex, it means you would be involving several people from different organizations, several resources, several tools and techniques you would be applying, and all these things make a project complex. It is not a simple task to achieve. A project is heterogeneous. When I say heterogeneous, it means I am working, let us say if I am working on a project, I will have several team members. So, those team members will have different educational background, they will have different cultures, they will have different languages, and they would have different understanding level. All these things again make a project heterogeneous. So, it is not a homogeneous entity at the end of the day, it is heterogeneous. It is also non-repetitive. This is one of the important characteristics of project. When I say non-repetitive, it means whenever I do something for the first time, it is called project. If I do it again and again, it does not remain a project. A project is something which requires multiple resources, and resources are always finite. So, you need to use limited resources in optimum manner. A project has got fixed set of objectives. You will always have teamwork in a project, because success of a project depends on how the team is working towards achievement of objectives of the project. Every project has got a life cycle. We will see life cycle phases in detail. but every project has got a life cycle similar to life cycle of a human being. Most of the times projects are made to order. Whenever we receive some order from customer, then we will prepare project according to the requirements of the customer. It is a multi-skilled staff requirement, as I said. You need several people having varied skills. In project you will always have subcontracting, because in a project you would be performing several activities and you do not have resources to perform all those activities. So, what you do, you generally subcontract some of the activities to third party, and there are risks and uncertainties in project. One of the important knowledge areas of project is risk management. We will see in detail risk management as well. So, what is project? It is one shot, time limited, goal directed, major undertaking requiring the commitment of varied skilled and resources, that is project. A project is defined as a task which has a definite beginning and definite end time. This is what I have also talked when I talked about characteristics of project. Project is smart. When I say smart, you have got specific objectives and the objectives are measurable. So, S and M. A stands for attainable. We should attain the goals of the project with whatever resources we have got. It is realistic. Project should be realistic, though we should dream big, but things should be realistic at the end of the day. And project is time oriented, as I said, you have got definite beginning and definite end. So, this is smart. You can have several examples of project. These are some of the examples, but are not limited to. So, whenever you come up with an, let us say, new product or a new service, it is a project. Let us say if you are changing the organization structure of the company, then it is also a project. Designing a new transportation vehicle, or let us say if you are doing some project to enhance the mileage of the vehicle, that is also a project. Developing or acquiring a new or modified information system. So, if you let us say go for implementation of management information system in an organization, that is also a project. Constructing a building, a dam or any other facility is also a project, and there are hundreds of examples of project. You can see some of them are water system, running election campaign, implementing new business procedure or process. So, as I said, there are various elements of project based on the definitions which we have just gone through. Projects are complex, one time, limited by budget, schedule and resources, are developed to resolve a clear goal or set of goals, and projects are customer focus. So, let me tell you what is the difference between a project and a process. Difference between project and process, or you can call operations. So, in a project you will always have some new process, but in a process you will be doing things again and again. So, projects are non-repetitive. To give you an example, suppose if I want to switch off this bulb, and for the first time I do not know where is the switch, that is a project for me. Once I switch it on, and if I continuously doing it for let us say next 30 days, then that is not a project. So, in a project the most important point is it is non-repetitive. In a project you will have most of the times one objective, but in operations or in processes you will have several objectives. As I said, processes are ongoing, continuously you are doing something every day, that is not a project, that is operation or process, but the projects are one shot, they have got limited life, they have got start date, they have got ending date. In operations you have got homogeneous people, but in projects you have got heterogeneous people. In processes you have got systems in place, but in project you need to create new systems, because you are not doing project most of the times in your organization. Many times you might be doing project outside your organization. So, you need to come up with new systems, new setup, new set of rules and so on. The how to evaluate processes, you have got performance, cost and time which are known, but in case of projects you need to look at performance, cost and time, which are generally less certain. There is more uncertainty as far as these three things are concerned in projects. In process you have got line organization, while in case of project you have got outside of line organization. If you look at the 9th point, you have got in process you support status quo, but in case of project you always upset status quo. When I say upset status quo means you are doing some changes in your organization, either in the form of rules and regulations or in the form of, let us say, organization structure, or you are going out to do some project and so on. So, you are challenging status quo. I will give you an example. Let us say if in an educational institute in an examination, let us say if 70% students fail in a subject, then what you should do? You may do several things. For example, you can have special classes for them on every Saturdays. Now, this is what you have challenged the status quo of the institute, because on Saturdays generally you do not have classes. Similarly, you do other things in a project. At the end of the day you are challenging the status quo of the organization in terms of rules, regulations and some other things. As I said, in project you require multi-skilled people. When you distinguish project and processes on, let us say, revenue criterion, then in project management generally you do not have revenues, but in operations you have got revenues and profit losses. In fact, what happens when you complete the project? Let us say if you are coming up with a new product, and launching a new product is also a project. So, once you are done with project, once you have launched the product, you will be selling that product to customers, and then you would be generating revenue. If you look at risk criterion, then you have got in project management it is very high risk, is generally no chance of recursion, while in case of processes they are generally less risky. And as far as subcontracting is concerned, in a project you will have very large amount of contracting. These are some other criteria on which you can distinguish between project and operations. So far we discussed several things about project. I hope that by this time you would be very much clear about project. What is project? Let us look at something about what is project management. If you look at the definition of project management body of knowledge, PMBOK, USA, then project management is application of skills, tools and techniques to project activities to meet project requirements. So, that is this is one of the definitions of project management, very important definition, widely acceptable definition, application of knowledge, skills, tools and techniques. In other words, we can say that project management is planning of several activities, directing and controlling various resources. Now, what are the resources? As I said, you can have several resources. One of the ways of classifying resources is human and non-human resources. So, you can have, let us say, money, you can have time, you can have material, you can have human resource, right. So, what is project management? It is planning, directing and controlling resources to meet technical, cost and time constraints of the project. Now, why project management is important? Why one should go for project? Organizations are involved in several projects because they achieve their mission objectives through projects. That is why they take projects. Let us look at couple of other reasons why project management is important these days. One of the things is fast technological changes. World is changing very rapidly, and if you look at the electronics goods market, it is changing even at faster rate. So, to remain in business, you need to be updated, you need to produce those things which are needed by customers, and for that you need to come up with newer and newer projects. Nowadays, product launch window is very narrow. Earlier, customers used to require products at sometimes after a period of 6 months or after a period of 1 year, but nowadays customer preferences are changing very rapidly. So, you need to launch product in a very short period of time. That is why projects are important these days. High entropy of system, because things are changing fast, things are expanding, every organization wants its share of market. So, that is why they are going for projects. As I have said, there is short life cycle of products, especially in the area of software and mobile. Every alternate month nowadays you would be getting new mobile phone. So, that is why you need projects, and of course, it is a globalization is playing an important role. So, when we move towards more and more globalization, you need to come up with new and new projects, and there are several large organizations which will have large number of people. For survival of those organizations, they need to come up with projects, and sometimes what is happening in a large organization, they also go for consulting experts. Whenever they want to do something new for which they do not have resources, they go to consultants and then they get things done. At the end of the day, whatever you do, whenever you come up with a project, it should be customer focused. So, in one word we can say that why projects are important, because customers are changing, you need to fulfill their requirements. So, let me conclude what we have done in first session of this course. We have defined what is project, we have also defined what are different characteristics of a project, we have seen what are the differences between project and processes, we have also defined what is project management, and we have seen several definitions of project management, but you should remember the important definition of project management, that is its application of knowledge, skills, tools and techniques to various activities of the project for completion of its success. Thank you very much for attending my first session.